Welcome back to Steel City fans. I'm your host, and today we've got some major updates you don't want to miss. The Steelers are making moves, questions are being asked, and one wide receiver's future could shake everything up. Here's what's on deck. First, Gabe Davis is back in Pittsburgh for a second medical check. His knee has been a concern, but this visit could decide whether he's suiting up in black and gold or heading back to Buffalo to rejoin Josh Allen. I'll break down why both teams are circling him right now. Second, Aaron Rodgers stepped to the podium here in Pittsburgh, and his comments about joint practices, Roman Wilson, and the upcoming season definitely turned some heads. What he said might surprise you. And finally, the QB3 battle. Skylar Thompson is making a real case to stick on this roster, but should the Steelers keep him over rookie Will Howard after his hot preseason start? I'll share my thoughts later in the show. But before we dive deeper into the latest breaking news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell icon so you never miss a Steelers update the moment it drops. Trust me, with roster cuts and possible signings around the corner, you'll want to be the first to know. Now let's start with the headline everyone's talking about: Gabe Davis. Pittsburgh gave him another look after that earlier knee scare, hoping time has helped him recover from last season's injury in Jacksonville. The Steelers clearly like his skill set, but his health is still the big question mark. Meanwhile, reports say the Bills are bringing him in for their own medical follow-up tomorrow, which means this could turn into a tug-of-war between two AFC rivals. Now let's shift the focus to Buffalo, because that's where Gabe Davis is headed next. His visit with the Steelers is already in the books, and the fact that he left Pittsburgh without putting pen to paper means the door is wide open for the Bills. Think about this. Buffalo's receiver room isn't exactly overflowing with established stars. Khalil Shakir flashed last year, but is still more of a gadget weapon than a true number one. Keon Coleman has potential, sure, but he's still unproven. Joshua Palmer? Solid, but not a game changer. Curtis Samuel has bounced around, and Elijah Moore is fighting just to stay relevant. Now put yourself in Gabe Davis's shoes. In Pittsburgh, he'd be coming in as depth, rotating behind guys like Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin III, who the team clearly wants to feature. At best, Davis would be insurance, a reliable option if someone goes down. But in Buffalo, the path is different. He already knows the system. He already knows the quarterback. And more importantly, there's no true alpha receiver there right now. That means Davis could walk back into a full-time starting role, reconnect with Josh Allen, and reestablish himself as the deep ball weapon he's been in years past. And there's another layer: chemistry. With Josh Allen, it's already built. With Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, he'd be starting from scratch, trying to earn trust on the fly. That's not an easy task when the season is right around the corner. Honestly, if his medical checks out, Buffalo feels like the smoother landing spot. More opportunity, more familiarity, and a real chance to be a difference maker again. Pittsburgh might like him, but Buffalo might need him. Here's the reality: if Gabe Davis's medicals keep coming back with red flags, this could be the year he's left without a team. Multiple franchises have already taken a look: the Saints, the 49ers, the Giants, and now two separate visits with the Steelers. If every one of them is hesitating because of that knee, it raises the real possibility that Davis might be sidelined all season. And that's the heartbreaking part. Talent has never been the issue with Gabe Davis. He's proven he can stretch the field, he's delivered in big playoff moments, and he's shown flashes of being a dangerous weapon. But in the NFL, health is the ultimate equalizer. If his body isn't holding up, teams won't take the gamble, no matter how tempting the upside. So the big question remains: does he have enough left in that knee to convince a contender he's worth the risk? Or are we watching the unfortunate start of a career stall at just 25 years old? While the Davis situation continues to unfold, there was also some buzz today from inside the Steelers' locker room. QB1 Aaron Rodgers took the mic after practice and gave some insight into how this team is shaping up, from joint sessions with Tampa Bay to his thoughts on rookie Roman Wilson and the offense as a whole. When Aaron Rodgers met with the media, one of the biggest takeaways was how he viewed last week's joint practice against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His breakdown wasn't just surface-level talk. It gave us a real window into how this offense is developing. Rodgers admitted the session was far from perfect. He said the Steelers opened strong in the 7-shot drill, but when it came to the team run period, Tampa's defense exposed some mistakes, things like missed angles and miscommunications that he believes are completely fixable. On third downs, though, Rodgers felt the Steelers struck back and executed well. And even though the 2-minute drill ended in a quick 4-and-out, he emphasized that the film was exactly the kind of material this team needs to grow. What Rodgers seemed to value most was Tampa's willingness to bring pressure. The Bucs are famous for disguising blitz under Todd Bowles, and Rodgers called it good work for us in the protection game. That's huge because the Steelers' offensive line is still working to gel, and facing that kind of aggressive look in August is as close to a dress rehearsal as you can get. And here's the thing, Tampa Bay isn't just any preseason opponent. This is a playoff-caliber team loaded with continuity, experience, and one of the strongest rosters in the NFC. For the Steelers, still building chemistry under a new leader in Rodgers, that contrast was striking. It was a test, one that revealed weaknesses but also gave them the blueprint for what needs fixing before September. Rodgers also used the moment to shine a light on one young receiver who's quickly climbing the depth chart, rookie Roman Wilson. Rodgers' confidence in him suggests that Wilson may not just be a role player, but someone the Steelers could rely on heavily this year. Aaron Rodgers didn't mince words when it came to Roman Wilson. He sees him as a legitimate number 2 option in this offense, even if a lot of fans are still waiting to be convinced. Rodgers praised his progress, saying Wilson is improving every day, making splash plays, and has the kind of raw talent that can turn into something special if coached the right way. And truthfully, the signs are already there. In camp, Wilson's been one of the more consistent performers, and in preseason games, he's flashed exactly what makes him dangerous. That speed? It's real. He hits top gear almost instantly, and when he does, defenses have no choice but to respect the deep ball. Against Tampa, we saw him lead defenders trailing on crossing routes and stretch the field vertically, the kind of plays that can open up an entire offense. Now, Wilson isn't a finished product. He's not yet the guy you ask to run the full route tree and dominate outside the numbers. His best work comes from the slot, where his quickness and acceleration make him tough to track across the middle. That fits perfectly with what Arthur Smith wants to do, scheming crossing routes and play action shots to exploit defenses. If the Steelers keep leaning into that skill set, Wilson could become a true difference maker as early as this season. He may never be the prototypical WR1, but as a complementary piece with elite speed, he has a chance to be exactly what this offense needs, a weapon who tilts coverage and punishes defenses for sleeping on him. So here's a question for you. Do you believe in Roman Wilson? Yes or no? Personally, I think he can step right into the role Arthur Smith has designed for the number 2 receiver in this offense, but I want to know what you think. Now let's turn to another hot debate stirring inside Steelers Nation. Who should be the QB3 this season, Skylar Thompson or Will Howard? Roster cuts are looming, and as we all know, most teams only keep 3 quarterbacks. Someone is headed for the practice squad, and the decision isn't as simple as it looks. Here's where it gets interesting. Skylar Thompson and Will Howard go way back. Back at Kansas State, Thompson was actually ahead of Howard on the depth chart. Fast forward to this preseason, and that story feels like it's repeating itself. Howard looked sharp in practice before his finger injury, but Thompson has taken advantage of the game reps, and he's made the most of every snap. Through 2 games, Skylar is completing nearly 70% of his passes, has piled up close to 350 yards, and tossed 3 touchdowns against just 1 pick, a fluky deflection that wasn't even on him. That efficiency has insiders in Pittsburgh wondering if he's forcing the Steelers' hand. As Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette put it this week, preseason games matter to Mike Tomlin. And with Howard sidelined, Thompson's tape is the only thing Tomlin can lean on right now. That gives Skylar the edge in the short term. But here's the catch. Long term, Will Howard might still be the guy the Steelers want to develop. Rodgers isn't the future, Mason Rudolph isn't seen as one either, and Thompson, despite his solid preseason, isn't viewed as a franchise-caliber quarterback. Howard, with his arm strength and physical tools, at least carries that possibility. Even Rodgers himself has hinted the rookie could have a bright future. So the question isn't just about 2025 depth, it's about balancing the immediate reward of Skylar Thompson's steady hand with the potential upside of Will Howard. Here's the way I see it. Well, Heyward has to be the QB3 for this team if he's healthy. Rodgers is locked in as the starter for as long as the Steelers are in the playoff race, and that's not changing. But if this season ever takes a turn and Pittsburgh slips out of contention, that's when you want to see what the younger quarterback can do. And in that situation, the smarter play is to give those snaps to Heyward. He's raw, yes, but he's a rookie with traits worth developing. Skylar Thompson, on the other hand, has been around the league, had his chances, and at this point he looks like what he is, a reliable backup, not a future franchise quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean you just throw Thompson away. He's been sharp in the preseason, and he's proven he belongs on an NFL roster. Ideally, you'd stash him on the practice squad to keep him around. The risk, of course, is that another team could scoop him up because quarterbacks with experience and preseason tape like his don't stay available for long. Still, when it comes to Pittsburgh's future, Heyward makes the most sense. Before his injury, he showed command of the offense in Latrobe, outperformed Thompson in practice, and even earned praise from Rodgers himself. If he's ready for Week 1, he deserves that QB3 spot. If not, then Thompson can hold the fort until Heyward is fully back. And while we're talking roster updates, here's one more name to keep in mind: Cam Heyward. For the first time in weeks, the veteran defensive leader wasn't just working in individual drills, he was back in full pads, taking live reps and team periods. That's a huge step forward, and it signals he's inching closer to being game ready for the season. Cam Heyward working his way back into full team drills is massive for this defense. Remember, he's been out since early camp, and the fact that he was lining up with the starters in pads means Week 1 against the Jets is looking very realistic. Now, whether that signals progress in his contract talks or simply his decision to move forward regardless, one thing is clear: Cam plans to be on that field when the season kicks off. And for a defense built around toughness and leadership, that presence cannot be overstated. On the special teams front, there's a bit of news as well. Long snapper Christian Kuntz is dealing with a sternum fracture that could sideline him for a short stretch. Optimistically, he still might be ready for the opener, but if not, veteran Jake McQuaid, just signed this week, is prepared to step in. He's logged plenty of NFL snaps over his career, so while it's not ideal, Pittsburgh won't be left scrambling. And finally, Mike Tomlin made it official: stars like Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Heyward, and TJ Watt won't be suiting up for the preseason finale. That said, Thursday's matchup against Carolina could give us another look at younger pieces, names like Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey, or Darius Slay potentially seeing action. For fans, it's one last preview before the roster locks in and the real season begins. So here we are. The Steelers have questions at wide receiver, decisions to make at quarterback, and leaders like Cam Heyward returning at just the right moment. The countdown to Week 1 is almost over, and soon all the speculation gives way to reality.